So Bush does an ad, and he takes me, and he was talking about, something, and he made a statement. Then I killed him. I shouldn't even talk about him. He's down to 2 or 3. It bothers me when I see a guy spending, $60 million on ads against me, a lot of it, right? I say, why is he doing this? Doesn't he have something better? He should go home. Just relax. No, honestly, he should go home and relax. He shouldn't be wasting his time.
Today, Jeb Bush is canceling $1 million in planned TV ads in Iowa, and he's canceling $2 million in planned TV ads in South Carolina. The Bush campaign is instead devoting its resources to campaign staffers on the ground in those states. The Bush campaign also intends to deploy more staffers to New Hampshire and Nevada. According to Bush senior strategist David Kokel, quote, this will give Jeb by far the largest paid ground operation in the first 4 states. In the latest Iowa poll of Republican voters from Public Policy Polling, Jeb Bush is 5th in Iowa with 7% of the vote. In the latest New Hampshire poll of Republican voters from the Boston Herald, Jeb Bush is in 5th place with 10% of the vote there. And in the latest national poll of Republican voters from CNN, Jeb Bush is in 7th place with only 3% of the vote in the national poll. In South Carolina today, Donald Trump said this.
I could say, oh, gee, if we came in the top 4 or 5, I'm looking to win everything. We want to run the table. We want to run it. Because that sends a signal. You don't understand. If I don't win, I will consider this, and I mean this, a total and complete waste of time.
Joining us now, Mike Tomasky, special correspondent for the Daily Beast, James Pindell, political reporter for the Boston Globe, and McKay Coppins, senior political writer for BuzzFeed News. Michael Tomasky, the Bush operation will be spending money on TV. The super PAC backing the campaign intends to spend $19 million between now and votes being cast. And so it's not like the Bush support won't have a TV campaign with it.
Right, right. So he will have that. But yeah, the point here, I think, Lawrence, is that this Bush campaign has squandered a lot of this money. They've raised far more money than anybody else, certainly in the early stages of this campaign, and they spent a lot more, and they burned through it. And we're in a phase here where television advertising ain't what it used to be. Social media has kind of taken things over, and other forms of communication have taken things over. He's doing the right thing now, I suppose, by shifting this to the ground game, because the ground game is more important. You got to get your caucus goers out to participate in the caucuses. So it's fine as far as it goes, but it's pretty close to the 9th inning here for Bush.
McKay Coppins, your reading of the situation with the former front runner. It's hard to remember that there was a time when Jeb Bush was the front runner in this field of candidates, and where he stands now. Is there any hope left in Bush world?
Well, if you talk to Bush world, they claim that they still have hope. I mean, at some point, I think they're going to have to make a decision, and his super PAC is going to have to make a decision about whether these attacks on Donald Trump are about trying to actually take Trump out of the race, or at least knock him down a few pegs, or whether they're about defining Jeb Bush as the moderate or the centrist or the establishment alternative. I think at this point they're still operating under the assumption that these are strategic attacks meant to help Jeb, not necessarily hurt Trump. But I mean, look, at some point, I think that maybe the best thing Jeb Bush could do for the Republican Party is to decide that whatever remaining war chest he has, which is still substantial, both in his campaign and super PAC, to just use it to take Trump down. Unload the money on attack ads on Trump, and then bow out of the race gracefully. I don't see a path, or an obvious path for Trump to the for Jeb to the nomination at this point.
But James Pindell, there's also that strategy of forget about Trump when you're in Jeb Bush's position. He's going to have to take Marco Rubio down. He's going to have to take Ted Cruz down. He's going to have to take down people who are in front of him, but not as far in front of him as Donald Trump is.
Right. He has to do two things at once. With donors, he needs to show that he actually is taking on Donald Trump, because a lot of his donors, particularly the financial donors, really want him, and the establishment donors want him to take out Trump. So he's trying to appease them on the one hand, but then you're right. He has a strategic game. And if he's putting a lot of his eggs in the basket of New Hampshire, and he does need a win, particularly somewhere, he still has this structural problem that he has John Kasich, He has Chris Christie, he has himself, and he has Marco Rubio, those 4 candidates really competing in that establishment lane. You know, if all of them got out, and if 3 of them got out and supported one of them, that would be a pretty strong candidate. But right now they're slicing up the pie so much that no one's really catching traction except for, I suppose, Marco Rubio and right now a surging Chris Christie. Those are the 2 people he needs to concern himself with right now. And I think you see behind the scenes a tacit admission of that. But as McKay was saying, these attacks on Trump are about positioning Bush more than they are about taking out Trump right now.
And James, Trump is now saying he's going to get into TV advertising in a big way. And my question about that is, in the Boston TV market and the New Hampshire TV markets and in Iowa, is there time available to buy? Because with this many candidates, that TV time gets reserved far in advance with the candidates that can afford it. And I'm just wondering how much TV commercial time would be available to Trump if he actually does decide to spend money.
That's a great question. There is still TV time available, but the second part of that was the smartest part of the question, I think. Really, it's expensive now. I mean, these candidates who reserve this time, and even the super PACs who reserve the time months and months in advance, they got a lower rate. So when Donald Trump says he's going to spend about $2 million and doesn't say where, $2 million is not going to buy you a whole lot of airtime given supply and demand right now.
And Mike Tomasky, the Bush campaign, Jeb Bush himself actually is arguing, and this is a wearisome argument that I've been hearing more than just from Jeb Bush, that we have, of course, President Obama to blame for the rise of Donald Trump. Not the weak candidates in the Republican field, not the incredible weakness of the former frontrunner Jeb Bush. That had nothing to do with the rise of Donald Trump.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, you can't go wrong running in a Republican primary, attacking Barack Obama. You can attack him for anything, and it's going to be an applause line. But I doubt that most people really buy that. And, you know, also 1/3 to 40% of the Republican primary electorate is perfectly happy with the rise of Donald Trump. You know, he's just casting about. And we should say in this segment, while we're talking about Jeb Bush and all his problem is him. He's just not a good candidate.
Yes, absolutely. That's the perfect last word for this segment on Bush. That's the reason he's where he is in the polls. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m., the easiest thing about doing the last word. It's the last word holiday party. We will have that holiday party tomorrow night at 6 p.m., and we will take a look back at 2015.
Up to 1 million people shivered in New York City to watch the crystal ball descend on Times Square.
Each team has the opportunity to prepare the balls. When I felt them, they were perfect.
I like a softer ball. That's all I can tell you.
Stop saying balls, 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 balls.
They are off and running in the 2016 race.
Wow.
I know there have been questions about my emails.
The American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
Taylor Swift said haters are going to hate.
The Affordable Care Act is here to stay. I've had some good weeks in my life, I will tell you.
A landmark decision by the U.S. Supreme Court making same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states.
By removing a symbol that divides us, we could move forward as a state in harmony.
A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
It's a nightmare deal for the world.
The alternative to the deal is not some kind of unicorn fantasy.
The American dream is dead.
You're a bunch of drug dealers and rapists. No disrespect.
Yes! Mr. Trump! We love you!
County Clerk Kim Davis was released from jail.
My, oh my, what a wonderful day. I informed my colleagues that I would resign from the speakership and resign from Congress.
This is not a job I've ever wanted.
Well, somebody has to have this job.
3,000 people running for the Republican nomination.
This is not a cage match.
I'm the tortoise in the race. but I'm a joyful tortoise.
When I was 14, I tried to stab someone.
How am I losing to these people?
Donald Trump called for a total ban on Muslims entering the United States.
What has happened to our party?
None of them are going to drop out. They're all going to mutiny. It's going to be super fun.
You can join the Last Word holiday party tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern as you're dressing for your New Year's Eve party. Find out who our choice will be for biggest winner of the year, biggest loser, person of the year, and a lot more. And now tonight's last word, which will be my last word of the year, about the Kind Fund, Kids in Need of Desks, the program that we've been running for 5 years now to raise money to have desks made in Malawi and delivered to schools there where the kids have never seen desks and absolutely would never see desks without your help. The Kind Fund also provides scholarships for girls to attend high school in Malawi, where public high school is not free and where poverty prevents many families from sending any of their kids to high school. When a family can afford to send a kid to high school, it's usually one of the boys, not one of the girls, who gets to go. And so the girls' graduation rate in Malawi is half the boys' graduation rate. You have been wonderfully generous this year to the Kind Fund. You have continued giving every day after Christmas, and we will have new totals to report to you on Monday that I think are going to surprise even me. Ben Rosenberg tweeted last night, yet another year of giving to the Kind Fund, 4 desks and 2 girls' tuition. Cheers. Thank you, Ben. That is very generous. And as you know, those 2 girls would not be in school without your help. Nikki tweeted the other day, I already donated. It's so refreshing to hear about children who actually want to learn. Oh, I know what you mean, Nikki. I was one of those kids who never wanted to be in school. And when I was a public school teacher, I was in front of an awful lot of kids who wished they could be anywhere else. But I really have never seen a kid in school in Malawi who was not thrilled to be there, who didn't feel lucky to be there, including the kids who walk barefoot for miles to get to school. Most kids in Malawi do not finish primary school, and so when you see kids in the 5th grade and the 7th grade, they're there because they really want to be there. And the kids in high school in Malawi, they have to have all of the drive and ambition that students in medical school have in this country. It takes tremendous determination to make it all the way through high school in a country like Malawi. Bill G. tweeted, happy to donate for 2 more Kind desks in honor of my 2 granddaughters, high school seniors active in helping teens with disabilities. Philip tweeted, Lawrence just donated a desk in your name for the good work you provide to the Kind Fund, helping children in Malawi. Thank you very much, Philip. I appreciate that. And Amy Etkind tweeted, if it takes generations to give desks to all Malawi schools and to educate all the girls, then we keep donating. Teach our kids. And it is going to take that kind of determination to get this work done. We have doubled the number of kids with desks in their classrooms in Malawi, but most kids in Malawi still don't have desks in their classrooms. And only 7% of girls complete high school in Malawi. 7%. It will take us more than a generation, much more, to get the high school graduation rate up to where it should be in Malawi. Education is a long-term cause and a long-term investment. People have been making contributions to Harvard University for 379 years because the need never stops. And now they're giving more than ever because costs always increase and that need never stops. Remember, you can always contribute every day of the year at lastworddesks.msnbc.com. We got many positive comments and a surge of contributions this week, thanks to Dr. Arkilis Muteti, who tweeted about the Kind Fund, saying that he lived it when he was a barefoot kid in Kenya walking 5 miles to his primary school. Dr. Muteti now has a doctorate in education from USC and is the dean of students at a public high school here in Southern California and a supporter of the Kind Fund because he lived it. Dr. Muteti is the success story that I hope for with the Kind Fund, that maybe 20 years from now, we'll get a tweet or whatever we're doing on the internet then, from one of those barefoot girls in Malawi who walks 5 miles to primary school now, and now gets to sit at one of those desks that you have provided for her, and that maybe she will then be able to go to high school thanks to one of those scholarships that you provide, and then maybe, like Dr. Muteti, just maybe she can make it through college, and then maybe become an educator one day herself, And maybe one day, like Dr. Mutetti, she will send a contribution to Kind and send us a tweet saying that she is supporting kids in need of desks because she lived it.